All right, welcome to another exciting episode of the Growth Podcast. We're back. We were not around last week, but also we just wanted to say, guys, it's hectic. It's been hectic. And so we've made a change to the podcast. Instead of having 4 episodes in a month, we'll be skipping 1 week because it's become very overwhelming, I think, especially for me. New job and everything, so it's not as rosy as it was in the past. So we'll be having 3 episodes in a month, so we can rest and create time for work things. But that doesn't mean that the conversation won't stop. The conversations will continue to be had, and we're having one such conversation today. Today we're having someone in the arts. I think the last time with the podcast, we had the CEO for Zanaco. What an interesting conversation that one was. Even I was learning throughout the entire duration of that podcast. And also remember, the podcast is brought to you by Best Life Insurance Zambia. So keep looking out for messages from Best Life Insurance and see how you can, benefit. So let's get into our conversation on the podcast this week. Like I said, we're having Petersen on the podcast. I don't know if I say this, but I'm saying this now. We're having Petersen joining us on the podcast this week. Welcome to the podcast, boss.
Thank you very much.
It's good to have you.
It's a good feeling, good atmosphere. It's a good environment. Yeah.
No, we're very happy to.
Yeah.
We're very happy to have you. We usually have cards, but I think after we went to Zanaco, we came back and we can't find the cards. But I've got some icebreaker questions that I'm going to ask you. Just some icebreaker questions. My first icebreaker question to you is, what is it that you wish you could do but you can't do? Like you really wish you could do but you can't do?
Like dance in a club.
Well, you can't dance.
Like when I'm out just to dance and enjoy the music.
But you can't.
I can't.
Why?
I don't know.
You don't enjoy the music when you're out there?
I do enjoy. Maybe earlier, a long time ago, before I had the name Petersen, I would dance. But now I think it's kind of crazy, the kind of image that I've built to see me now dancing, and then it really doesn't correlate. I wish I could dance. But when I'm outside the country, in a country where they don't know me, you
just go freestyle.
I break it down.
What is it that you do at home that, like, your wife can't believe you can do?
What is it that I do that can't believe I can do? Hey, have I ever? What is that? Okay, maybe fitting windows.
Oh, you fit windows?
Yeah, I have a number of times fit windows.
Yeah. Can you cook?
I used to cook when I was very young, so I gave myself, but I can cook, yeah.
When was the last time you cooked?
It's been some years. No, but it was my thing. I cooked the rest of my teen life. Even after I completed school, I was cooking. I used to be kept by elder brothers. So you should know that I was like the maid, the person who washes, the person who cleans the house, the person who cooks. So I've done that very much in my life.
Okay.
From the time I was probably 16 to when I was about, maybe when I was 15 to about when I was 21, 22. Yeah, 21, 22.
Okay, that's interesting. What is your favorite childhood memory?
Then I could play football. When I was younger, I could play football. But as I got old, I think maybe interest and everything like that, I can't even trap a ball now. But I love that memory that I used to.
Don't worry, even some players who are professionals can't trap the ball. But anyway, here we go.
I can't trap the ball anymore. Like you pass it to me, it
just goes past you.
Yeah, it's a ball. I can, but probably it won't stop right there. It might bounce back or anything. Yeah, but yeah.
Okay.
When I was younger, I was much better.
Okay. Yeah. What took you into music?
First, I think it's just when you're being indoctrinated into something, you don't realize it. My mom loved music, so she would buy a lot of cassettes and record players and records and play mostly. So you don't know that you are being programmed into loving music that much. And when I went in primary school, I think I just started doing variety shows. And I think the biggest breakthrough that really made me feel like, I think I can do this. I think it was during a free period when I was doing grade 11. Then I went to the ablution block, and when I was coming back, I walked into the class, everyone was quiet. Then I started doing a freestyle in front of them, like trying to, and they kept quiet for some time, and then when I finished, they were clapping. So I'm like, was that nice? And after class, that was nice what you did. But it was just maybe miming to Nasty, this song. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But then from there, I was like, okay, cool. I can do this. I think I can. I started trying to, when I completed school, I started writing for other people. But what really made me do everything is when I saw that when I write for other people, the music becomes number one. I was like, maybe I can do this. And then also I wanted to practically pay for my school fees, because then I started doing accounting, NATEC, at Lusaka Business Technical College. So I started doing music generally just to practically pay for my school fees. Music.
Okay. I want us to maybe go back to your background. What kind of upbringing did you have?
I was brought up mostly by my mom, and then I also spent time with my grandfather in the village. So I'm that person who's lived in the village, hunted with dogs. I'm that person who's lived in London, used tubes to move around. So I think I understand life from all angles. So coming to the background, I'm just that boy who grew up with his mostly the most biggest highlights that I know that molded me was growing up under my grandfather's roof.
Okay. Yeah. And
unless I don't get the question right.
No.
About the background.
No, like, because I really want you to appreciate, because look, for me, this interview, for the most part, is based off of the things you've said about your life. Okay. And I feel like it's going to be one of my easiest interviews because the story is there. Yeah. And I'm going to use those so you can maybe give a bit more flesh to what you meant at the time when you talked about that. Yeah, because you've mentioned, for example, that in your early years of your music career, you talked about the time that you walked from Chilenje to Roma. Yeah. What was that about?
You should understand that the time that I started wanting to be a musician, there were only about 4 or 5 record studios. There was Nexus, there was Soundcheck, there was Dave Sling, there was Roma Side, and then there was what was called the Zintwastic and McKinney, the facility. But the other, I would say, recording studios were mainly for Mondo Music signed artists. Movie studios also practically for movie studios signed artists. And you should understand, back then it was very hard for you to access a studio if you're not signed to that studio. So Walking was trying to familiarize myself to the owners of the studio. They should see me every day. Sometimes you just go there and chill outside. Not that you have money to book studio time and record, but just to be there so that the person sees you, gets, before you realize it, the other people are creating music, you chip into, then they start feeling, this guy knows something, and before you realize it, let's try him. And I think that's how a lot of people were getting deals and getting on. No one really, because there was no social media there, so no one will come at your home or anywhere to go look for artists. It was rare that they would do auditions. Yes, auditions will come, but you realize that when the audition comes, the people that are picked are those people that always frequent the radio, the studios. Like the first time they did the Nexus compilation auditions, I think you could see that the people that were picked knew each other already. So yeah. So it was just, you had to be out there. You had to look for new studios. You had to look for new friends. Like, we were making friends with people like Mampi way before we all broke through. People like Aluwus were crazy, Winston Moyo, Tribal Cousins, yeah. So I remember walking from Chilenje to Charleston, David Sling, Zaf houses there. That's where the Sling Beats was. And it was on a day that the Sling Beats were launching their first compilation album, Umfweni. And I needed to make sure that when I start off with them from the studio, and then you're just a school leaver, you don't have anything on you. So I did a shortcut.
There's no shortcut, boss. It's long.
It was a shortcut because I did not use the actual route.
For cars?
Yeah, for cars. So I walked from Chilenje, Kajema Flats, I cut into where we have the Woodlands shopping mall now. Then you cut through Kablonga, St. Mary's, you go up to Hilltop Hospital, you pass behind there. Then there was a gravel road from somewhere before Dazzle Grill, a gravel road that was going straight passing Ibex Hill. This was a gravel, like this. It was just a straight, long gravel road, but there was no Salama Park then. It was a bush area. There was no Twin Palm Mall. There was nothing. And then reached Avondale, climbing that Gardenia Road, and I was in Charleston.
And at the time that you're doing that, walking those long distances, what did the people around you make of what you were doing?
Mostly people believe you're not serious. They think you're chasing a dream that doesn't pay. You should understand by then, Zambian music was not as it is now. There were a few people that were like Black Muntu, JK, Jochibangu, Chatel, MC Wabu, Nasty D, that were like, yes, you see them play, and then they're asking you to say, what does JK own? What does Black Muntu own? What's your plan? And mostly when you have a dream, probably it's only you who can see it. Mostly the people around you can't really see it the way you see it. Maybe they can sense some signs, but really believing and knowing that this is where you're headed, they can't. So walking to Roma side, that was normal. It was a normal thing. All you have to do is that make sure that you walk there. When coming back, that's when you jump on a bus because it will be late. So if you have some money, you jump on it, you walk there. After that, then when you're going home now, because it's in the evening now, you can get on a bus into town or maybe somewhere around Manda Hill there or North Mid. Then you cut up to Evelyn Horn College and then catch a bus now from the mosque. It's also shorter. Yeah.
I know that one.
Yeah. The other shortcut was passing where there's that Millennium Village between Lusaka boys and Lusaka girls. Yes. Yeah, that was like a bogland, like a Sunda station. Like, yeah. And then you hear now they're going to build some stuff there. Like, oh, my shortcut.
It's gone.
My shortcut is gone. Yeah. Yeah.
So, when did the breakthrough begin? Because with all of this, obviously, you are not an established artist, and that's why you had to walk. When did the breakthrough come?
I think the signs of it showing that we headed somewhere is when there's a song I recorded and did called Good Night. So I recorded 3 songs one day. You know why you cannot afford the whole studio time, so you have to make a side deal with the guy who's producing. Then he gives you 1 hour, and you're like, but I want to record 3 songs. I have this much. I'm like, okay, if you can make it. So in about 2 hours, he has to make 3 beats. You have to sing 3 songs. So one of the songs that I recorded, Good Night, I played it for my friends who were then signed to a record label, Back Crazy. So I played them, say, idea, and they liked it. So they liked it the following day, and then they said, how about you give us this song, but you do a verse on it, like we also feature on it, so it helps you to
sell.
Yeah, to be known. I was like, that's a good one. I mean, Back Crazy were working on their 2nd album then. So I was like, okay, cool. So we went to Roma side now because they had the proper recording studio where they would go. The record label had, I think they were the first musicians, apart from those at Mondo Music, that would say cars were organized for them every weekend. Before the show, they go to these boutiques to collect clothes. So every show is new clothes and everything like that. So we went to Romaside and then recorded this song. I put my verse, and they made it the title track of their album, and it became big. Then I was like, okay, now this is it. When they were launching their album, they brought in Bruna from the Big Brother house for 2001 or 2002, and then they brought in Zombo from Abashante. So for me, sharing the stage with those names at Mulungushi International Conference, because the first time I ever performed for people, it was on a big stage. And for me, that was like, I think we've started the journey. And when they were traveling to the Copper Belt now to do the show again, because they were doing Lusaka and Copper Belt the same weekend, they also carried me there. That was visible. After the song became big, the record label called me and said, "You're the guy who wrote the song." I said, "Yes." "Okay, so we have a package for you." Probably maybe to make sure that they bought off the song from me. And yeah, so the first time I saw money being paid, I remember it was about 250 kwacha thousand then. Yeah. I bought Frank Wood.
Frank Wood,
Frank Wood.
That was
accounting.
Physics.
No, that was accounts.
Yes. Oh,
financial accounting.
College. Yes.
Financial accounting. Yeah.
I
bought a Frank Wood book. I also bought a calculator. I went to pay for my Zika subscription, and
But why were you doing accounting?
I was doing it from Lusaka.
Why? I'm saying why.
Why was I?
Yes.
I think it was the hottest course there then.
Yeah, because even I was forced to do it.
Yeah, everyone like accounts. And I remember I like enrolled in four schools I did. I pushed in application at Chainama for environmental health. I also pushed at Evelyn Horn for marketing. I also pushed at Zip in the Copper Belt for accounting, and Lusaka and Technical College. And I was accepted in all the schools. But I could afford Lusaka and Technical College, Lusaka Business and Technical College, which is Lusaka Trades. Then it was called Lusaka Trades then. So yeah.
Did you finish that course?
I didn't.
Why not?
Because before I could finish everything, I think the music took over. Like now I was able to handle a bunch of expenses using music. So I was like, I think this is paying. Let me make myself comfortable, and then now I'll get back to this.
Did you get back to that?
Then it became a long journey. Now after that, my young brother completed. Now he had to go into college to start what he wanted to study. Now you start contributing to other nieces and nephews that are going into college as well. So you're like, I need to make money and be part of the guys that are helping. And it was hard. Then I think the career became too big. But I still, later on, then that's when I was like, I need to go back to school. But am I going to go for NATEC? Then it was outdated, like accounting. So I chose a course that what I wanted was to have a general knowledge and expansion. So I chose a course that had at least a bit of everything. The only thing that is not in a public administration course is medicine. But you have law, so you do legal process, you do administrative law, you do industrial law and everything. Then when it comes to economics, you do macroeconomics, developmental economics, public finance, investment and risking. It is also at the bit of public administration itself, policy formulation, analysis, all that, comparative and what. It also has marketing. It also have maybe human resource. You do courses like organizational behavior, change management, and all that. So it was quite a wide course, and I really appreciate it because at least I can have a conversation with the general society. I might not be a deep economist, but I know the basics. I might not be a proper marketer, but I know the basics. I might not be too much of commerce. I did e-commerce and all that stuff. So I have an idea. I'm not a human resource, but I've done human capital, human resource management theory. So I can have that conversation with
And when was that?
2015. I did that 2015 and completed in 2019, I think.
2019. You graduated on the same day with your wife, right? What was that like? How did you guys even decide?
It was we need to go to school, and then
And how was the process? Because some people feel like, okay, let me first go, let me finish, then
let's just do.
How was it like in the home? Like, did that 4 years take a toll on you guys? How was your marriage then, knowing that both of you have good school?
Yeah, but it's a normal thing. The only person who had more time on my hands was me. She was going for work and at least she had to balance that. For me, I had even put music a bit on the hot. And, sometimes I would need to do researches for her. So I ended up studying 2 courses, I think. No. She was studying, but there's certain things. Try to check on this.
Yeah.
And you get the interest and you realize. And we had a lot of courses that were, like there are certain courses that were
in both.
For example, change management was also there. I think organization behavior.
Yeah,
was also that side. Public, public relations.
Yes.
Yeah, there was business communication skills.
Yeah. So I mostly the first year courses. Those are very similar.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I had also to be like, we were forced to have those group studies together.
So 2002, 2003, that's when you sort of were pushing the music.
That was 2000, especially between 2003 to 2005, I think that was my backing period. That's where I went through everything. This is the person who cannot be kept now, but doesn't have anything. I'm in my, I think around 20s now, 1920s. And I have certain dreams that probably the people that are keeping me, I was being kept by elder brothers and cousins, can't buy. Like, you need to find something serious. But they are also just starting their life. They're just trying to build. It's not like you can push them into issues of trying to say, pay for my school fees too. Because I think I've been a double fan for the longest period of time. So when I find something that is trying to bring a coin, I think you stick to that. And I had to learn to start looking for an apartment, stay with a friend, and start pushing that way until I met a guy called Mark Kelvin. He believed in me, and he felt like you can be a good star. So this guy practically just told me, I think the beginning of 2005, he said, you make up your mind. If you want to record an album, you need to change a lot of things. So I'll put you like in a camp or in a place where no one accesses. You just write music. And I'm like, would I want to live that life? I gave it a thought. 3-4 months later, I went to him around June. So from June to November, I never had friends. I never went out. He was working for Intercontinental then. So he would leave. Sometimes his shifts were from midnight to morning, sometimes from 8 to what. So he would just make sure that I have everything. He gave me a bedroom, gave me a bed and a radio with some CDs, and say, create whatever you have to create, listen to more music, but write, because in September you're starting to record your album. So spend time writing music. And so I really just spent my time home. I went through a phase of not having friends. Then the actual time came, went now to start recording the music, paid for my studio time. This is a guy who, you finish a song, he goes there, he doesn't like it, he deletes it. Yeah, I think, yeah. So yeah, it was a phase. And finally, it worked. And like, he went to the studio, picked a song that he felt like this will make it, told the producer to mix it, master it. I was in Kamwala having, chilling with friends, and then I heard my song on radio for the first time. Like, what's that happening? I call him, then he's like, yeah, we started pushing. Yeah. But it's been a long story to reach there. Is bunch stuff happens, yeah.
Yeah, a bunch of stuff does happen. So for you, what was the inspiration for writing a song? What has to happen for you to come up with this particular song? Was it your own experiences that inspired your music?
Funny thing, I've never sung any song with my own experience. I have to create a scenario. I always have to create a scenario that almost everyone can relate with. If I write about my experience, not everyone go through what I go through, and I'm being too monotonous. But if I pick a topic that is general, whether you are rich, you are poor, you're what, you always find yourself in that situation. It's like love songs. When you hear people sing love songs, there's nothing like these are rich people, they don't listen to love songs, or they don't love love. These are poor people, they are not in love. Everyone is in love. So that's how they work. So now if you choose to be a social commentator, you need to probably start picking topics that are everyone can relate with. Sia Topinge is about someone's health. Yeah. Everyone have that access to it. Oh no, sinful nakulanga. No matter how much wealth you are, you have your own pressures. Yeah, Munyaole, yes. Mostly that was when you are creating music for drunkards. There's always, let me create a music that will be appealing to people that are out drinking and they're high already. There's also creating music for people that are driving home. Let me create a song of somebody driving from work going home. Some song they can play, tired, they want to go home and sleep and rest, but it won't hurt to have something that is not making noise, but something that is just really massaging the brain. So you do those songs like Sinifuna Nkabwelele. Oh, yeah.
You describe the music industry, not one of your posts, as a very cruel industry. Well, why did you use that
word? It is very cruel. It is very cruel. It's about, because it's an industry where I have to happen for me to eat. And there are others that feel they cannot happen if others are happening. They have to switch off someone else's light for them to be seen. Then we have those that just know they'll happen whether you are there or not. And then there are those that know that they're not very good at chancing things, so they have to go around hearing what others are pushing and hijacking. And there are a lot.
Did you personally experience that?
As an artist, you have to, really, for you to be like baked. So no matter how much someone throws at you, it doesn't hit you because you've seen quite enough. There was scenarios where a group of guys as artists, you are having fun somewhere at some place. It's on a, maybe let's say Thursday afternoon, around between 14 and what you've just met as guys you're having, and then one of the guys receives a call, goes to talk. He comes back, guys, Natawa, let me just go pick up the kids from school. Why he escort me? He picks one of his friends, they go. The other one, even me, I'm going. He receives a call, even me, and then everyone goes. Then you just remain, you and your friend or someone. Then practically a phone rings also, and then it's a company, the time one, this example that I'm trying to give you is like the time that artists had to do jingles for ECZ during 2008 after the funeral for Mwanawasa. So now we have to go into by-election, presidential by-election. So now they have to do a new sensitization. And then you receive a call from ECZ to say, we need you at the office. If you can rush here in 20 minutes, 30 minutes will be okay. We are trying to see if we can have a seat with artists too. And then you drive there, then you find all the guys that you are with, that you are receiving calls. You know? Never back to me. Okay. How did you wash it? You boom that shit. Okay, not fika nombe. So yeah. So it's like that. Yeah.
You see, the other thing I wanted to ask you, is in these years that you've done music, if you were to look back and someone asks you, Petersen, what has music done for you?
For me, it's a lot. I would say every little thing that I've achieved, whether it's a piece of land, whether it's a piece of paper, whether it's a piece of recognition, whether it's sitting on a table with people that open doors, whether it's stepping out of the country, whether it's acquiring even the smallest suite, for me, it's music. It's done everything. So even if I acquire so much wealth or I get whatever I can get, or start other businesses, I'll always respect music and I'll always know that it's the easiest. I think it's something that is within me that I can use to revamp myself at any given time. I think if I have to save myself at any time, I can use music. It has done almost everything for me.
All right. So earlier we established that you did obviously go to school. You did get your degree. You took your wife, which I feel like is a good thing. What did you use that education for? Because it's not like, oh, we're here now we've gone into employment. What was the motivation behind you getting the education?
For me, it's just for me and my mind. I think despite having that formal education where I have to go sit in a class and learn, I still do a lot of reading. And my education was not probably get a job, was just probably to have a sound mind. And I'm still trying to do my master's in international relations and conflict resolutions. That's what I want to do. And it's for the knowledge to be able to interact with society at a very comfortable level.
To many people, it's strange for a musician to want to really pursue education like you do. I can count, maybe I can't even count with my finger how many are thinking the way you are, especially those that feel like I've arrived, get a point, like I'm big, like the money, because the money musicians make is immoral, like especially today. The ones that the money they make is a lot of money. Education is the last thing on their mind. And then here you are.
Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of us have got aspirations, what we like doing. For me, I prefer to hold a conversation that has got knowledge behind. And I also just want to know, to be aware of my surrounding, whether at community level, at national level, at economical level, or anything. I just want to be able to have at least to catch, oh, this is what it is. Oh, it's like that. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And it was awakening every time I was doing most of my courses. Then you realize, oh, so this is how it works. I knew it works, but I didn't know what makes it work and how it works. Oh, so it works because of that. After that, I still went for a Pan-African course. This one, you don't really have to graduate or what. I did something that I'll call, it's a 3 months course of learning internationalism, Pan-Africanism. When you start capitalism at the highest level, you start communism at the highest level, you start socialism at the highest level. So you just start human,
Earlier, I talked about the fact that most of the conversation will be based on your post. There's a post you made on the 13th of February, and you're saying when you completed grade 12, you started work as a casual worker at Zambian breweries. You used to unpack bottles and crates and pallets. It was a decision I made when I was 19, 20 years old on my own. Yeah. What guided that decision? Because mostly youngsters, 19, 20, when they just... But for you said, hey, man, I have to make money.
Yeah, the thing is that I could look around my surrounding. Mostly the oldest people that were around me were my cousins who were maybe 5 years, 6 years older than me. And they were just trying to settle. These are the people that were giving me shelter. But you start feeling like I cannot just be sitting here eating and washing clothes and what. I need to do something. So one of the cousin that was keeping me had a friend who used to work for Zambia breweries and said, I would want a job. They said the only jobs that are there are for casual worker, the people that just unpack bottles and do pallets and everything. Like I said, I can do that as long as I've got something to do. So yeah, they pushed there. He told me I could go. There's a day that they open, then people stand at the gate. So I'm one of those people that, when you're passing an industry and you see people by the gate.
Very early in the morning.
Yes. So yeah, I've done that. And they're asking, what's your name? What level of Shanshan? Where's your NRC? What's your level of education? And yeah, I got a job and I started working there. So yeah, I knew how to get paid for my sweat.
Okay, so that was just the top part of the post you made.
Yeah.
So you said, when I decided to quit and start studying accounts at Lusaka Business and Technical College, I was told I should have continued with work. So I raised more money for school. I still did what I felt was good for me. When I decided to enter the music industry, I was told I should continue with school because music won't feed me. I can't depend on a career for failures. I went ahead and I achieved a lot of Zaga things. I went back to uni, but now for a degree in public administration. I was asked what I needed school for when I already had a successful career in the arts. I still did my wish and attained that degree with a very wide scope of knowledge. Went back to making music when I was asked, when are you gonna do your masters, while they are dancing to Kalukobo and Bwana Nimun Tunai. I got into national politics and some told me to just stick to music. They said they love life Yapa Z, not me in politics. At the same time, they asked me mucho sadi tichama politics muti kambireko mukaribe kungena mu parliament. All I'm trying to say is spectators are confused, so confused that they even think they can polish your life before they polish theirs. Just do you, whatever you convince yourself to do, like Nike, just do it.
Yeah. That's what I believe in. You just do what you have to do. Because at the end of the day, you're the only one who's answerable to yourself. Very much. People will see you from afar and they would want to fix your life for you. But human beings don't know the silent conversations you have. And this also comes, you see it a lot in relationships. Every time your partner does something and you have that conversation, what talk about, your partner will never know what you decided and why you let it just pass. Your partner might even think, I found a way around her, or I found a way around him. I can do this, he won't do anything. Or I can do this, she won't do anything. But you don't know the silent conversation they had. So this is what spectators, people that just look at you, they'll always know you for what you've said and what you brought to the public eye. For us who sing or post, they'll think you for what they're listening to, what they read, what they think they know you. When they sit with you again, they realize, wow, this is another person. There are people that know you for, so when they meet you, that's the only image they have about you. So they think when they meet you, they should go, and then realize, for me, if you watch me before I go on stage, you realize that I'm a very different person. It's only when I'm like, okay, now I'm going, then I switch into an entertainer. I do that, it ends there. Some people meet you at the filling station and say, like, my friend, you work at the filling station. I'll meet you in Kalingalinga and say, going to tank. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. So, people have what to say, but I think at the end of the day, it is not bad to listen to people because we are social beings. We tap from other people, human beings. But there are certain decisions that you have to make for the benefit, even for benefit of those people that feel you shouldn't make that decision. I think so.
Okay. That explains a lot. The other one that you wrote, this one was on the 20th of May. Mm-hmm. You said, my dad died in 1990. My mom died in 1997. I have switched homes my entire life. I once almost slept at Stanley Bar in Lusaka City with my bag of clothes, books, and shoes in the middle of the night because I practically didn't have anywhere to go. Some people try to hurt my feelings by saying I am a failure. You should have seen me when I was 1. It would have satisfied your desires. From December 2003 to November 2005, none of my family members knew where I was staying, when I was eating, where I laid down my head every night. Without parents breathing on my neck, I have individually taught myself how to stay away from cigarettes, alcohol, and any sort of drug abuse. Today, I am so proud of what I have become. I am Honorable Apostle Petersen Zagaze Banda. Mukobesa Mundia. It's quite a life you had.
Yeah, mostly. So that I wrote that to just make people understand that what you see is maybe the complete. There are always those people that want to make you feel like because you created a name that now you're an artist, then you don't have a hot song, then you're failed. So you're trying to say, at this level where I've reached, this is a lot of achievement, because what is behind is what you can cause failure. If you saw me then, so you just give them a snippet of this and that, then they need to understand that at a level where you are able even to have them as a follower, that's not a failed status, because now you have a person who feels accomplished following you. I think that's not being a failure. At that moment, you've accomplished. Even if you were to sit in eat eggs at lunch, eggs at night, sample in the morning and everything like that, you are managing to eat. It's different from when you were not managing to eat. If you make 200 kwacha per day or per week, you are better than when you couldn't, when everything was. So it's just a statement to make a person understand that the desire of wanting to feel like, if I say he's a failure, I think that's just a person trying to shift the pain they have, the hate they have. So it is too much in them. They want to find who to throw it to feel. And you realize it every time when somebody tries to say something bad to you and it hits you, it is like you've relieved it, like you've transferred the emotion. Whatever bad they were feeling has gone to you. But if somebody says something bad to you and you smile about it, you're still happy. They say another thing, they even go mad now, because now the pain is too much. It's not transferring. So yeah, I think that was all about that.
How did you manage not having parents and still, growing up sane? Because for most people, it's that thing, oh no, because my father died, because my mother died, that's why he's like that. With the parent from America, he just went wayward. But here you are.
I think, I don't know if it's luck or there's certain elements that determine a human being, and it's very thin. Finding yourself where you don't have, in a different brain, another person will start feeling, I don't have, it's better I just die. I don't know why that thought becomes the first one to come. I just die when they don't have. Another brain, next standing, I don't have anything. I need to do something. Let me just polish people's shoes, or let me just go to that man and ask to send me a jubile koche hedge, or I sweep the yard, or anything. So I think, I do not know at what point as humans we end up having different drives, that when I reach the war, I feel I just have to sit and beg. Or when I reach the war, I feel like I need to do something. Until I understand the psychology between that, I've still failed to really understand. That's why it's very hard for me to explain what drove me to just say, I need to push. Because I just felt like I need to do something. You look around, you're like, should I accept this? I remember I had a friend of mine, when we just completed school, wanted us to join a security company as guard. And I practically found him wearing a security guard uniform coming from work when I went to visit him. Night shift. I'm like, dude, this is not us. We don't have, but not that the people are doing this, but let's try to
Aspire for more.
For something. Yeah, let's aspire for more. Today, as we speak, he's a big boss. He did his bachelor's in accounting. He went to do his bachelor's in accounting and everything like that. He's a big boy. He's an editor. He's an auditor. He's a big boy. I call him for fuel money. Boy, tumako ya fuel. Yeah, so I think him now, he tells me to say, if you never used to speak that stuff you used to speak to me, I think I would just be somewhere. Because he would say, the people around would just say, you know, like if he tries to say, Dad, I want to do like this, but where are we going to get this to start pushing that? But I don't know why you used to think we can. Said, I think, even me, I don't know, but I always choose positivity. Yeah. The time that I was locked in a house to write music, I used to read a book called The Secret. And I think it helped me to know what you command around, and to have the positive energy to know that if you are worried about getting late, you always find the traffic lights red. Because you are late. What you're wearing is late. So what you're communicating is late. So you bring people to just make you late. If you're communicating, I'm reaching, whatever the case, I'm reaching. Even if it doesn't look like you're reaching, the road just opens. So I think after I learned that through that book and the DVD, I'm like, it helped me really to just always, I reach a point where I feel like I can look around, I can see no possibility of where I'm going to get what I have to get. But I just end up getting.
Okay. And most people, obviously, that know you, obviously, are waiting for the question, why politics? What took you there?
First and foremost, I think it is what I saw growing up. My mom was a politician. I saw unique cars at my house. I saw unique Brigadia at my house. Sometimes I always feel it's what a child sees, it's always very hard to detach themselves. And it was like the biggest topic at home with mom was alive with politics. We'll see what that one has done, what this is not okay, this is what. And then if there was another way of giving service at that level without politicizing everything, I think I would have used that way. But in Zambia, even an ideology cannot be sold as it is. It has to be packaged into a political organization for you to sell. To say, no, us, we believe in this, but what are you? No, we just believe in this. Then you sound like you're not making sense. You have to say, oh, we are the party for what. So if the population and the citizens reach a certain level of education and able to understand that certain ideologies can be sold without branding them political, but just making them a social or economical or patriotic movement, I think it will be easier to sell. But it's very hard to start selling an idea of an approach, then start selling the information itself. So now people end up just saying, belong to a political party, then sell the idea, and it goes. Yeah, but if there was another way, I would.
You must obviously have developed thick skin, because there's a lot that was said about you on social media. You're jumping parties. Today you're independent, tomorrow you're this party, tomorrow you're that, tomorrow you're that. And all this is being thrown at you. How did you deal with that?
I learned late that certain things you can just let them pass and never explain anything. They'll fall in place. But I think mostly it was the biggest time it was very loud is when I joined the Socialist Party from the UPND. And I had a lot of people that were with me with the UPND, and they had the numbers. So if the UPND numbers are complaining, it's visible that people are complaining. It's like when Manchester United wins, Whether you like it or not, you see it and you feel like Manchester United fans make a lot of noise. No, they are just a lot. So each Manchester United, maybe we'll talk about how they've won once after 5 hours or let's say 6 hours. But because they are a lot, the place just looks like they've just gotten excited. Chelsea fans will get the win. They can post even 4 posts each. They are not a lot. So with the transition from me to leave the UPND and then go to the Socialist Party, the numbers were the ones that were complaining. There was a number of people that was happy. There were people that were hugging me, receiving me, shaking my hand, talking to me. I thought, but it is very hard for you to view that. It reminded me of I had a friend of mine who's a doctor. He was in Namibia, now he's in the UK. So I went to visit him with one friend of mine. When we were on the table sitting, a friend of mine complained about health personnel was like, bantu bamafa maningi ma hospital, my doctors wamafakira konzelu, and somebody was complaining loud. Then he said one thing. He said, people always want to count how many people died on a day, forgetting there are 30 people that might die in a day, but you forget the 2,000 that came, got medicated, and went home. There are more people going home helped than the ones that die. But we always base on the negativity than the plus. They cannot stop people. Human beings should come. It's a rotating. Death has to happen. But despite that happening, the medical personnel still help to prolong people's lives. So people still go home. So that's what it is like. When people started talking, you feel like it's everyone. But you should understand at that moment, the people that belong to the PF were not complaining. Say, achokako. For them, they are like, achokamo, yeah, so, But because the number was too big, it was visible. And it really hits you. Like, you can feel like, I need to justify this, but you can't always justify a lot of things, especially if they don't know the nitty-gritties of what has led to. Because every time you look at a human being, you should understand that there's a sane person has gone through a lot of decisions or things behind to make a certain decision. But if you just look at the outcome, you might even think like, saganza mushe hapa. Si achoka hapa, chitaso achoka hapa. Then when you sit with them, you're like, oh, wait a minute. If I'm even in their shoes, maybe I would do worse than what they did. Yeah, because the time that I left the UPND, I was watching my friends on social media complaining about this, exposing that this happened, then they did what, then I told myself, I'm not going to do this, I'll just find myself safe.
Okay, and what's your future like now in terms of wanting to aspire for leadership?
So there's something that has happened to me. Like I was saying, I went to school for Pan-Africanism and internationalism, and practically studied all the ideologies of capitalism, socialism, and communism. And I'm more driven with what stops Africa from suffering. And anything that looks like it is not blocking us from processing everything in Zambia, I'll support that. When you go into the lessons that I've gone, it opens up your mind to a lot of things. Why it is very normal for us to see copper on a trailer of a truck driving out of the country and we are okay and we feel like that's the way it's supposed to be. When even the machine where it's taken to be processed is from metal that came from here. Why cannot it not be built here? When you hear you have independence, when you hear there's a political system that you follow, there's what, and you understand how it works, you'd start pushing for what can benefit Africa. But mostly the way the system has been done is that anyone who starts pushing the African agenda ends up being made to look mad. And somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about. So it's only right if you think things should be the way they are, then you've accepted, and then it works well. If you start saying, instead of us building a very expensive road to the Copper Belt, but just build a proper railway system, electrical train that will have those trailers, it's like having 20 or 25 buses start off from Lusaka at 8 at one go without giving way. It's just shot up to Cabo in less than, because it's development and it will bring efficiency in Africa, it will make us move faster, then it's wrong, then you are mad. You shouldn't think like that. If you say, this, now that we can make towels for ourselves instead of getting our stones away to, now that we can do everything that anyone will sit to say, let's do something for us, and it should be done by us. The media and propaganda makes you look mad. I think that's what even that boy, the new president in Niger, is going through. Thomas Sankara went through that. Magufuli would be laughed at. Or Patrice Lumumba, Samora Machel, Kwame Nkrumah, even chucked out, Gaddafi. Everyone who thinks for us, for everything to be done by us is. So that's what is new for me, really. That's what is moving me.
Interesting. You are educated. What do you think is the difference? Someone with a talent, a musician who is educated like you, and a musician who only has the talent but doesn't see the value in them going to school?
Different. Okay, there are two things. Before we even talk about the value and the value into going to school, when you know things, you become what word do they use? It's like now you become edited, like
refined.
No, really, it's when you know things, you start you start withholding certain things that you should say. But when you say stuff from the ignorant point of view, you say quite.
So begin to censor yourself.
You censor. That's the word I was looking for. So when you know quite a lot of things, you start being censored, and that's one thing that I always feel bad about myself now. There are times that I'll just sing a song. Before I did gender and development, I'll say whatever I have to say. But now I'm starting to think this, as much as everyone is not okay with it, it's because they don't know what. Now I know that this is the beginning of programming human beings to look at women in a certain way. Now, when I know, I stop tackling certain topics, because I know once I say it like this, I'm giving an idea, or I'm shaping minds. They will just start thinking, even without thinking I've given them idea, just think, this is how life is. Not knowing that they heard it in a song, that's why they think like that. So, but when I don't know a lot of things, I can say anything. Smack her or shan or because it feels good. But when you know, you feel like once I say that, the next thing it has to manifest because I said it. So once you know, you censor, you get censored in a lot of ways. But it's very good to know so that you are in a safe place as an artist. You don't always end up. You don't reach a time. Sometimes I go through my songs, peruse, and see which songs could put me in problems in future if I want to sit and have a certain discussion like, but let's tackle this, Mr. Mundia. The only thing maybe I could say, I was younger. Everyone was in a diaper at some point. We cannot judge people because they were wearing diaper at some point. It's a phase. Now we are different people. But I think if I knew better, I would have touched certain things.
Okay. And in terms of how generally they conduct themselves, for example, contracts, deals, what and what, how you negotiate, how you reason, how you carry yourself around, is that visible for someone and say, but I think, kaskuru.
Yeah. And what I've learned is that you have firms or organizations that know how it works, but because they believe these are artists, they can go with anything. Recently, I found myself seated on a table going through a documentation, a contract that was tying me to offering a service, and it was stipulating the repercussions, the reparations of me if I breach it, if I don't show up, if I do what. And by me signing that contract, it means whatever they do, I have to protect and say and stand with them. So it was tying me to a lot of things. But they were telling me they don't have a down payment for it. They'll pay me after the service. So I said, but why am I tying myself to something? I'm not gaining anything. I just tie myself until So at this moment, when I tie myself to this contract, if I get sick or I fail to come, you charge me to pay 70% of the total agreed amount when you didn't even pay a coin. It doesn't tally. No, Mr. Mdia will talk to you later. And all my friends signed, and one of the big guys called me to ask me to say, why is una sign? Because want to swam a vote. But I understand that if the same people were trying to bring in someone from Congo, Nigeria, whatever it is, or someone they rate highly and believe this one knows how it works, they will never make someone sign for something that doesn't have a down payment. So, yeah. So you can see people taking you for granted, and they're able to know that there's a big bunch of them if this one feels like he knows. And that's what our industry suffers. When most people know what you are worth, or they know what, then they stay away from you and think you're and start saying you're difficult. If they say you are difficult, you are lucky. They'll just say you are finished. Why? Just because probably maybe they cannot afford you. 2, they cannot just tow you around. And then they'll praise someone they know they'll push around. They'll praise them. You see, hey. The moment he wakes up or she wakes up and knows what it is, and I start putting carding on the table, so another one, please. Let's start praising another one. Then check. So it's a chain until we start having like educational sound brains in the art. This circle keep on going. If they can't tow you around, then you are. I think this also goes in. You hear it in America. They complain, now they did what, they stole their money from, because you just didn't know what it was, and you're signing things, and you cannot take anyone to court. And those that are good enough, like the Lupe Fiasco, the Kendrick Lamar, the J. Cole, they are not as loud.
Okay. We're almost done. What is it about life that you've learned because of your experience in music that you would never have learned if you are not in the industry?
The fact that most practices are regional. What you think is how life should be is how it's handled in Zambia, where if you travel to Kuala Lumpur and see how things are done in Malaysia, you know a different thing. And then you go to, let's say, Ukraine or Russia, you see that things are handled differently. You go to America, things are handled differently. If I never had the opportunity to travel the world, I would never know that what we know is just a drop of an ocean according to where we come from. I once found myself on a table with 4 other guys, and we have to discuss and agree what is morally right for human beings. I'm coming from a Christian background. The other guy is Muslim. The other one is Buddha. The other one is Momo. The other one is this, the other. But we need to agree without quoting what we call is our religion. Now, as human, then you start realizing there is where we need to unify as humans away from what we've called our religion and that we believe in. So how do I convince or have an agreement with everyone when everyone else is? So I think that's one thing that I appreciate, that I've seen the world for what it is, diverse, and to appreciate the fact that what I know is not how it perfectly works everywhere.
Okay. What 5 things would you give as advice to young people in music? If you were to advise them, give them 5 pieces of advice, what would you say to them?
You are not competing with anyone. You would learn from anyone to become bigger. The competition will always create itself when you are bigger. But just learn from whoever you can learn. I think that's one. Fame is just a feeling. It's not knowledge. It's not an acquisition. It's just a feeling. It can go away anytime. Many times that when you have fame, you think you can go in a conversation with a doctor and argue about how the heart pumps because you are too known. It's just a feeling. What else can I say? What makes a successful, vibrant, I think, industry is unity. If you charge the uniform amount, it's easier to twitch it up. It's like filling stations. If they had different charges, it would be hard for others to sell, or it will be chaos. The whole industry, fuel industry will be chaos. But if we start moving at the same page, it's easier. Not because I want this deal, so nikabuza chepa 10 banzanga wafuna you. Yeah, but it doesn't help you really. And then the biggest help that you ever get from the industry isn't from the normal people, the same people that shout at us, the same people that they're never our enemies. It's just too much love, but they don't know it. They just know that they are concerned about you, so they fail to understand that which they feel. So they end up expressing it in a lot of ways. Yeah. I think so. Am I 5?
That was number 4. That was up number 4, but good enough.
Yeah.
Good enough. Yeah, I like how you say the competition you don't even know where it comes from.
Yeah.
You know? And I think I've seen this even with just these musicians. People just create the competition because of, how you write.
How you do things. I think the competition just forms itself.
No, for me, this has been a very interesting conversation because I'm now beginning to look at you differently.
Is it?
Because look, like I said earlier, people think, what does he know? He's just a musician.
Yeah,
you get
of
the
course.
point, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of artists, a lot of musicians are disrespected because we have come with that musician thing from a long time ago. If Jay-Z comes to Zambia and he's speaking at a business conference, I want to listen. Take a musician to what does he know as a cup of chan? Because you've branded them like
mostly, that. The people like that, musicians that I always want to sit down with, and you learn. Like every time I sit down with them, you learn something because I think it's either they read too much or
like who?
There are memes, that one where you say you're in a group chat and then guys are bringing up and then you're looking at them like, where do they know all this stuff from? I always find myself in that situation. Like Wezi.
Yeah.
Wezi is very awoke, and sometimes I look at her, I'm saying, at what part of life did she, you understand, get through or to understand stuff like this? She's a jovial person. She would laugh around, play jokes. You get into a deep conversation, you get shocked. Like, wait a minute, Wezi. Like, how old are you? Same with Pilato, or the PS now. He's a guy who would sit and you are like, what? Kekero is Kekero and Trickster is another word. Like you confuse you. There are people that you sit with there and just have that deep conversation. There are others that are very deep, but they they put them in jokes, so it's always
hard
hard
to take them seriously.
to get a very serious conversation up to the end, because you'll be talking, then he jokes, you jokes like Kayombo. But there's too much substance in this guy. So there are quite a lot of guys that are very, very, I think a person can learn one or two things. Mumbayachi is exceptional, is scary. It's scary. Mumbayachi is scary.
And very creative.
Yeah. Just about life, community, our day lives and everything like that. Yeah. Mozeketa too. He just hates to speak English, but he's like, if you're Sungu boy, but yeah, he's the best neighbor you ever have. He's the best community person you ever have. I think he grew up in a very good setup of care, concern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we have lost, by the way.
Yeah. Mozegeta is that guy you can call at midnight or at 1 and he will show up. He's cut from another cloth. So there are quite a number of guys that really, yeah.
Mr. Mondia, thank you very much for coming on the podcast. We are very grateful that you spared the time to sit down with us. For me, really, one of the most exceptional things that stands out for me is your insistence on getting an education.
Thank you.
And I did mention this to you earlier, that the fact that you, with an illustrious music career, can decide and say, you know what, let me go back to school. You get your degree. You know what, let me go get a master's. It's also hope even to those young people who have a talent, that the talent alone is not enough,
Yeah. In fact, so before you close, there's one thing that I always beg to mention to people, especially to parents. There are a lot of times when they see a creative do something that is exciting and funny, and they think it's chamba, like it's someone is smoked or is smoking or dag. There are a lot of artists like P-Flow, Makitu, Shefi that don't smoke or drink, and they're very creative and they're quite happening. So I can just beg with parents that every time you see Shefi do something and you say, I think it's chamba, I think you're messing up the kids' mind, because now a lot of kids think, for me to be like Shefi, for me to be like Petersen, for me to be like B-Flow, I need to abuse. But if you can make people believe that talent can just be talent, it's just something that you cannot explain. You don't have to intoxicate it. You don't have to catalyze it with anything for it to manifest. I think it can manifest at any time. So when a boy or a young girl has talent, just make it as pure as it can be, without making them believe they need to abuse for them to perform, for them to offer.
Thank you, Mr. Mundia. Any performances coming from you this year?
This year we have the Zaga Fest on the 6th of October.
Okay, what number is this?
This is the second one.
The second one, yeah, because I saw, I think, a poster for it.
Yeah, for the previous one. It's mostly back in the day, we're just using to make concert, to either call it the bash or anything. But I think now we made a festival that is annual, and no matter whatever shows we have, that is just there.
Okay. All the best with that. Who's going to be there?
Huh?
Who's going to be there?
A bunch of guys. But very soon we'll start. We've made a systematic approach to how we announce each and every artist that is performing there. Yeah.
We look forward to that one, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
for inviting me.
No, pleasure is mine.
It's an opportunity. It's rare that you get such platforms.
Yeah, no, it's rare that we get guests like you. But thank you that you came through.
Thank you.